You have these notions about what life could be. But eventually you have to let all that go. It's a part of growing up.
Julie, I learned magic tricks just to keep up with you. It was our thing.
Yeah, it was our thing. Life is starting for real.
It is here that our story begins. A land of magic.
Am I hallucinating?
If you were, how would asking help?
Quentin, you are not crazy. Magic is real.
You goddamn magic! Stop it! Holy shit, I am doing this. I cannot believe that I survived this long not knowing that I was a magician. No!
I can't just go to Yale if I know this place exists.
Magic doesn't come from talent, it comes from pain.
The worst shit is somehow also the exact shit that makes it better.
Live, work, play, drink, study, school, drink, ram, drink.
Magic does feel pretty great.
Quentin Coldwater.
Now, let's see some magic.
Hello, I'm Bug, and do you remember Magicians? Magicians is a sci-fi original TV series that is about a secret organization that's sending signals into space and found space aliens. Oh wait, no, that's the three-body problem. That's a totally different thing. Anyway, Magicians is about, well, magicians, and about how magic isn't, well, as fun as it's always portrayed to be. Magicians started out as a book series created by Levi Grossman. The series was produced by Michael London, Janice Williams, John McNamara, and Sarah Gamble. So why does this video exist? Well, I like magicians, obviously, and I like YouTube, obviously, so I kind of wanted to combine the two. And I haven't seen a lot of people do magicians videos, especially in the style that I want to do it. I kind of want to, like, go through each episode and, like, talk about, like, everything that I have to talk about for each episode. Like, I haven't seen, like, a lot of, like, people go through the whole series, like, one by one, like, each episode by episode, essentially. And I just thought it'd be fun if someone did, and I wanted to, so why not? Yeah, so I guess let's get started, and if you want to, subscribe, comment down below, like, and yeah!
There you are.
You're late. I have a school to run.
There are more important things.
It's always something with you, isn't it? It's always an emergency.
It's happening.
They're not even at break bills yet.
I know. Get them there. Pray that they get little something under their belts before he finds a way to them.
Your ability
To think that we have the slightest molecule of control over anything never ceases to amaze
It's
me.
not that. You have to try.
We,
Look, this is your responsibility. You have to get them ready. Infants are nothing. Especially him.
I will do what I can. And you know this.
I do know. Here. Just in case. You still have an eye on our boy, don't you?
Yes?
Great.
Not exactly.
Why not? Where is he?
So the first episode is called Unauthorized Magic, and it starts with a sweeping shot looking at a door, and we have our first character exit, I guess, through that door. His name is Henry Fogg, and he is played by Rick Worthy. We also get a hint of breakbills in this scene from the little meadow that he kind of walks out of, which I love the visual aesthetic of breakbills. And I love how colors already make such a important, place. They have such an important place in the series in general, but, already here they do. We see the brightness of breakbills versus, the gloominess of the real world, or, the outside world, I guess. And he goes to go walk to a bench. He gets to a bench with a newspaper. Shortly after, we have a woman played by Esme Bianca step into the scene and deliver him a moth, which will have heavy significance in this episode. Not only this episode, but seasons later, even just the moths. I love the moths and the beasts and everything revolving around that. By the way, I am trying to kind of be light on spoilers because I'm trying to go at it in a way where someone hasn't seen the series. I've seen the series fully 2 or 3 times. But I'm obviously rewatching it for this, and I kind of want to make it feel authentic in that way. So I don't know exactly how. I can't exactly remember how I felt when I originally saw this first scene. I imagine it was probably confusion, because this whole talk means essentially nothing to someone that hasn't watched the series before, or doesn't. I don't know if the books, how closely the books align with the series. I've heard a few things about the books. I've heard they're good, but I haven't read them, so I don't know how they correlate, I guess. I will also mention here that these two are pretty amazing characters, and I love every interaction between them because, at least that's a spoiler. I'm not gonna say that. Just let's keep going. So our next scene, or the next thing that comes up, is the guy, him that they were talking about. It's the prophesized one. It's Quentin. It's the guy that's great at parties because of his porn. It's the guy that's great at parties because of his coin addictions.
Wow. Nice trick. Well, I'm sure you're a hit at parties.
think you're ready.
I do.
Why?
I feel better.
On admitting you reported you couldn't concentrate, eat, get out of bed. You said the feeling of not belonging anywhere was overwhelming.
It's not sleight of hand if you're going to use CGI. Well, I'm sorry, that's insulting to anyone who's ever done any kind of close-up magic, so...
And that you were the most useless person who ever lived. And now? You feel better?
It's the original version, the Danish version, that it's like, it's dark. It's like 100 times better because the Danish people, they have a dark soul.
I mean, I get it.
Get.
You're a kid, and your whole life's ahead of you, and you have these notions about what life is. And what it could be. But eventually you have to let all that go. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm doing. It's a part of growing up, you know, selling a comic book collection and getting serious.
Studying for an exam. My dad told me, he's like, you have to clean get in the plan because we're going to go climb this mountain. Fly to Colorado. It looks like real story.
You graduate soon. And then?
I'm supposed to have a grad school interview on Tuesday. Yale.
Quentin, I'd really recommend further treatment.
Look, I've never threatened to hurt myself or anybody else. So you can't make me stay. Can you?
Quentin. He is either my favorite or my second favorite character that I can remember. That may change during this rewatch because I haven't watched Magicians in like over a year, maybe 2 years. And yeah, I sometimes kind of have shitty memory. Anyway, so I love Quentin. He's awesome. He's a little shitbag that hates everything, and I understand and agree sometimes, and I love him.
On admitting you reported you couldn't concentrate, eat, get out of bed. You said the feeling of not belonging anywhere was overwhelming.
I really like that that's apparently how he admitted himself to the hospital. I like, if that's his exact quote, like exactly what he said, Quentin, wow. I understand you, bud. I'm so sorry. But at the same time, like I just said, I understand that. You're a kid and your whole life is ahead of you and having to sell your comic books, or like wanting to sell his comic books thing. I understand that. Like, I truly, it feels when you're like 20 and like 22 or like 21, like when you're getting older, the older you get, it feels like life is just throwing itself away. Like, it's just so hard to keep up with time and keep up with everything, and it's so hard to like just kind of deal with existence sometimes. So I understand where he starts in the beginning of the show. I really like Quentin a lot, as I've mentioned. And it's just, I just feel so bad for him. He's so cute. Also, the whole Danish people having dark souls thing is totally a me thing. Just how he says that, just everything about that delivery. Absolutely fantastic. The actor, by the way, the actor of Quentin is named Jason Ralph. And obviously he plays Quentin Coldwater. So, yeah. Oh yeah, here's a good place to put this. There is no way in absolute goddamn anything that Quentin is actually 18. Is he supposed to be 18 or 19? Because he's supposed to be just graduating. And if that's true, there's no way. I must be like, no, he looks like a 20-year-old. At very, like, 20 to 22, maybe 24-ish. Like, he's, like, almost mid-20s. There's no way that man is anywhere near 18. the first wave with Julia, like the first hi to Julia, or whatever that was that he did. Julia is played by Stelia Maeve, by the way, and I have feelings towards this character. There are two characters that I have feelings towards, and I will get to those rants in this video when their problematic behavior comes up, because one of them, I didn't realize, was already so problematic. And yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it. Also, that is to say, no actor or actress in the series that I can remember did a bad job, necessarily. Like, none of them did bad at all. It's just, like, if I don't like a character, they did good because I didn't like that character in that moment, and I think that's kind of the point in that moment for a lot of those characters. Also, again, do you remember, I have not seen the series in, like, 2-ish years, so any rants are mainly applicable to this episode and not necessarily the whole entire series. So, be warned. Anyway, let's continue with the next part, I guess, that I want to talk about, which is the whole, I have not hurt myself or others, so you can't make me stay, can you? That is such a, okay, there's a certain type of person, like, okay, if you are, like, an astrology nerd, like, you can only, like, you can qualify them as, like, water signs, I guess. Like, just, like, there's a certain type of person, I am one of those types of people that would totally say that after admitting myself to a hospital. Like, it is just the most, like, it is the most pussy shit thing to say. Like, after you've already admitted yourself to a hospital and, like, already admitted, like, oh yeah, I'm kind of, like, depressed and I'm kind of getting to the point where I will kill myself. And then be like, no, I haven't actually technically said that I'm going to kill myself, so go fuck yourself. Really? That's just, I understand that. Quentin, get over your shit. Get over your shit.
The Chatwin twins and their older brother had been sent to the countryside. From a young age, Martin Chatwin had a gloomy nature. And to combat his melancholy, he would lose himself in stories of wonder. So he knew that he would have trouble convincing his brother and sister that this was no fantasy. Rupert, wounded in the war and the first Chatwin to put away childish things. And Jane, the family skeptic. This was Fillory. A land of magic.
Rupert! Martin! Have a look at this!
Martin thought they needed Fillory. No. Fillory needed them. It is here that our story begins. But be warned, this adventure is no mere.
Okay, now we are on to the whole, like, Fillory book thing. I really like it when they are, like, reading the story, quote-unquote, of Fillory or whatever. They don't do it a whole lot, but I love it when they do it. So I also think it is very interesting that Martin Chatwin already has been described with a gloomy nature, or like a gloomy attitude, because the best way you could describe Quentin right now is gloomy. So let's see if there's any more parallels between those two while we continue this little series, shall we? Another note for the series. So again, I haven't seen like the series in like 2 years, so I honestly cannot remember what they do with this. But they mentioned that Rupert was wounded in the war. I feel like they do something with that, but I honestly cannot remember. So keep that. It's a note. Keep it in your head. In there. Somewhere. I know it's big. Keep it somewhere. Okay, so we've talked about the other two. Now, Jane, the family skeptic. Is there anything I can say about her without spoiling right now? Other than, she's iconic. We stan. We love her so much. Rip Jane. That's all I have to say. Spoilers, but rip Jane. Yas. So a couple things at the end of this little, book sequence, I guess. I love the colors. Again, I just love how bright Hillary is. It's just fucking glorious and pretty, and I love it. The clock imagery will always be important and always iconic, and I love how it's... Can't say that without spoilers again. I guess we'll talk about that more whenever the thing gets revealed later. I think at the end of this season, when the big thing gets revealed, I guess. Also, the whole they thought they needed Fillory, but Fillory needed them is a great twist, kind of. Because, you'll see at the end of the series, it's a very literal statement.
Where'd you go? Yeah, the girl in the rainbow shorts.
Yeah, you just missed her.
And?
Not my type.
Dude, she was wearing a unicorn t-shirt. She's clearly into fantasy. But how would you know? You're in here reading obscure fantasy. And she's out there. Honestly, 73 of her. Kinda waited for you to finish reading the books you've already read 800 times and come out with them.
I'm about to. It's the first edition. I am looking at it one last time before I say leave it. This is a serious conversation. So,
Called you. All weekend. Where were you?
I was at my dad's. I got angsty prepping for the interview, and I fled from the magical hills of Jersey.
Oh my god. My girl. My friend. Have you no decency?
Not even a little.
Excellent.
So, the next scene, which is the whole, first scene with Julia, really, the actual first scene with Julia, where she gets to, talk and interact, not just, a wave. I know I'm kind of going through this slowly, but just work with me here, just go with me. Anyway, I like a lot about this scene. I like the whole unicorn girl, talk, how she says, what she says about that, how she's like, oh, hey, what about that girl in the rainbow shorts? And he's like, oh, nah, not my type. And she's just like, dude, she was totally your type, and she was totally into you, and you're just being a fucking nerd, and, sometimes people just need some person just to be like, you're a fucking nerd. Is this a serious conversation? Should I get up? I love how she responds to that. That is such a cute, Okay, I half very much ship Julia and Quentin, and I ship almost every person with every other person in this show. Like, oh my god. So, okay, let's just start with the whole Julia and Quentin ship, I guess. Like what would you call that? Julia or Juventon? So I think she is clearly, like, on his level in a lot of ways. Like, they're literally showing that she can literally stoop to his level, like, this early, and, like, later in the series, they show that in less metaphorical, more metaphorical. Instead of her literally, like, stooping to his level, like, physically, like, she metaphorically, I guess, stoops to how bad Quentin can be, and shows him, oh, hey, like, you being a whiny bitch can cause other people to be a whiny bitch, and can cause other people to also have bad lives. Your bad life can cause other people have bad lives. How about that? So I think they're, like, bad for each other, and, like, they really do bring out the worst in each other, but they are cute when they're doing it. And Julia clearly cares about Quentin because, like, she even mentioned, I called you all weekend, and his response was to immediately start lying. I'm not saying that Quentin doesn't care about Julia, I'm just saying, like, it's showing the toxicity in their relationship that early that, like, she's trying to reach out, and he doesn't trust her enough to tell her the truth on what's actually going on in his life, even though they've clearly been friends for years. It's just, it's a very real relationship in the very beginning, and I like it. That's why I ship them, and that's why I like their relationship so much in the beginning, I guess. Is the best way I could, like, continue that, finish that, I guess, thought. Yeah, I guess. I also like at the beginning of the series that, like, Julia isn't available for Quentin in a relationship type of way. She has a boyfriend. I do not remember his name. I don't believe they say it in this episode. I did not note it down. I do not care about him. He means literally nothing to the actual series. If you're just getting into the series, I'm so sorry to spoil that for you. He is not a magician. Anyway. I do like a line that he says, though. My girl, my friend, have you no decency? Whenever, Julia, like, kisses Quentin on the cheek or whatever. Which is totally on the lips. Like, they try to, like, play it off like it's on, like, the cheek, but straight up just kisses him. Straight up. Just, yeah. I thought when I first saw the series that they were dating or something, or, like, they were, like, I don't even know, because, like, she's just so, like, touchy and handsy with him just in the beginning. It just doesn't seem like a friendship in the beginning. I don't know. My personal opinion. I could be wrong about that. I also love Quentin's immediate, like, response to Julia's boyfriend. The whole, like, no, we don't. And then, or not a bit, or something like that. And then the response of him being like, good, three-way. I love that scene. I love so many scenes of The Magicians, and I'm gonna try to point out any scene that I love and, like, why I like it, kind of break it down a little bit. Obviously, that's the whole point of this whole video, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, we have got to pull you together. This is it, Quentin, it.
I'm still high. You know what, screw it. It's only the alumni interview.
Right.
And it's only Yale.
Right, lesser Ivy.
And honestly, they'd probably take anyone conscious for philosophy.
For philosophy, conscious is a detriment.
So I'm good.
You're great.
So the next scene is when Quentin and Julia are walking outside to go to Quentin's little Yale thing. And, so I have a problem with the line that's said in the beginning of this scene. Just because, like, this isn't done a lot in Magicians, but it does happen sometimes where they'll say something that they did, but they won't show it. And it's not a huge issue, especially for this part. It's just, I want to mention it, and I want to mention anytime they do it, and anytime that I, like, specifically notice it. Because it's just, why mention that part of, like, the party, like, you see them drinking and everything. You could have mentioned them drinking or, like, he was hungover. But specifically, still high. I don't know why that bugged me. It just bugged me specifically. It's a very weird little nitpick, but it's an odd nitpick. Like, you could have shown him even, like, smoking out of bong, like, once or just something. Like, you could have shown him doing something that insinuated he was actually getting high. Like, I just don't understand why that's not replaced with, oh, I'm still hungover from the last night's party. I don't know why I'm so bugged by it, but it really should be, I was hungover from last night's party, or I'm still hungover from last night's party, not I'm still high from last night's party. Random little nitpick, but just had to mention it.
Yeah, you can go.
Hey, I am the angel protecting your future, Coldwater. Tighten your shit.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
It's Quentin Coldwater for the grad school interview.
Oh, shit.
Okay, Julia coming in with her first very good line of the episode, in my opinion, which is, for philosophy, consciousness is a detriment. To me, this line's hilarious just for my personal life, just because, like, I truly believe that. That's freaking hilarious. There is going to be a whole Julia rant coming later, soon, relatively, but yeah, anyway, there's one more Julia line that I want to mention. Right here. I am the angel protecting your future, Coldwater. I both adore this line because from everything that we've seen of Julia up to this point, and the next few seconds later, like, so true from what I understand, from what I've seen, she is truly trying to protect, like, Quentin. But, like, just a few scenes later, and we're gonna get into it, just a few scenes later, she just seems to just completely contradict this line, because, and, we'll get into it.
Well, he's dead. When I look at him, he was a big...
Sorry?
Why, did you kill him?
No, Jesus.
Just kidding. Wait! I think he left something for you.
Okay, when they get into the Yale recruiter's house. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to mention here is the clock from Fillory. Just keep how you pretend you're in Julia's shoes from this moment forward, okay? You see the clock from Fillory, like how Quentin does. Quentin points it out. You see the dead guy. Minutes, hours, whatever comes by later, the police, whatever, take him away, and you and Quentin proceed to try to leave the building. Also beforehand, we're going to mention a very funny line from Elsa. I think that's how you say her name. They don't even say her name yet at this point, I don't think. They just call her a freelance worker, essentially, later, or like a scout later, I'm pretty sure. And her funny line that I wanted to mention was, did you kill him? Whenever, she's like, oh, it looks like he died of alcohol poisoning. Because in my mind, like, she's just kind of freaking out because she's like, he could have probably died from the beast because this was probably not supposed to happen. And the beast we'll get into later. So a little bit of spoilers for, like, this episode, honestly. So I imagine in her head, he was killed by the beast, but she can't insinuate that in any way, so she's like, I need to make up something very quickly. Alcohol. He was probably a drinker. And how, like, Quentin's like, what? And then she's like, what, did you kill him? And he's just like, oh my god. And she's like, no, I'm just joking. Like, just, that whole, like, scene is just glorious to me. I love it. I just love her. I love Bianca. Sorry. Her last name is Bianca. It's Esme Bianca. Sorry. I love Esme Bianca. She is wonderful in the whole entire series.
Whoa, look at that. Fillory and Furler, Book 6, The Magicians. Look at the date, 1952.
Okay, please.
There are 5 Fillory books, Julia, 5.
Yeah, I know, Quentin. Everyone knows.
There's always been rumors of a 6th book that disappeared.
And those are just some stupid rumors off a superfan message board. Come on, don't be naive.
Maybe, but maybe it's...
It's a very special art project that the dead guy made up. Because, I don't know, you wrote your admissions essay on the glory of Fillory? Come on, Hugh. Come on.
What?
No, you have to stop.
Stop what?
You can't run away hard enough. What happened to giving up on the Fillory problem?
You used to like Fillory.
Yeah, I like it. I love it.
You got me into it, Julia. I learned magic tricks just to keep up with it. It was our thing.
Yeah, it was our thing. And it was fun, silly, nerdy bullshit, and it got us through high school.
Just a silly bullshit here. Huh.
I'm not saying
It's
that.
never seemed to bother you until right around the second you met James.
I know where you were all weekend. At the hospital. I feel exactly like you did the last time.
Life is raw. Everybody medicate.
Life is starting for real. Look, I am just saying that you are good at so much stuff. Pick something. Please. Start living your life. I gotta go. I love you. Monique.
So anyway, let's get on to this rant that I have been insinuating for the whole video thus far. Okay, so we're in Julia's perspective still. We are walking outside with Quentin, and Quentin just got this letter from this weird lady that almost insinuated that we possibly murdered this, like, man. Oh yeah, Elsa gave Quentin a, like, letter, a package from the dead guy. And Quentin's opening it up and finds the 6th book of Fillory, The Magicians. I love that. Anyway, and he's talking about it and talking about how, I mean, that could possibly be related to what they just saw and, like, him possibly going to Yale and everything. And she just immediately snaps on him, and I just hate why and how she snaps on him. Because, think about it from her perspective. You just, like, okay, one of the things, so before I even have you fully think about it from her perspective, one of the things that really calls out to me that she mentions is that, basically Quentin got to go to Yale because of some type of, like, writing that he did on the glory of Fillory. And if that is true, wouldn't you want to know how? Because I'm not getting into Yale because I know every single name of every single fucking Pokemon. Like, that's not gonna get me into no fucking school. Like, I don't understand how you're not even the tiniest bit of, like, bit curious how the fuck and why the fuck this dead guy is related to Fillory, and how in the hell did your friend get into this prestigious college because of his knowledge of a fucking fictional universe. This is a prestigious college, and you and your friend got into it through a writing, and how did you even know that he got into it through a writing of Fillory? And doesn't that even pique your curiosity even in the slightest? Like, even a tiny bit. This book that would be gone for literally decades at this point. Like, this missing book that's been missing for decades is now in your friend's hands that got into Yale through talking about fucking Fillory, and you're not even the tiniest bit fucking curious? Like, that, I think, is one of my biggest issues with it. And then, like, how she just snaps at him and is just like, oh, like, you're basically just a child. And, like, it's going from, like, praising how he can be childish and everything, and, like, how, like, that can be one of his best qualities, to making it be one of his worst qualities, or, like, making it out to be one of his worst qualities. Like, she's just such a bitch here for literally no reason in this one moment. And, like, it's not this one moment, but, like, in this is the first time when you see Julia really switch from being, like, a nice person to just being a and, like, she does this a lot, and I just don't understand it. And to continue this little rant, it's so manipulative how she brings up the whole I knew where you were all weekend. Then why in the fuck did you ask it in the beginning of the fucking episode? Like, I guess I understand why you asked it, but why didn't you push it then? Why are you pushing it now that you're in an argument with him? Like, that is such a manipulative tactic to push stuff like that while you're in an argument with somebody. To be like, oh, well, you were at a hospital and you didn't tell me, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you fucking manipulative bitch. Like, really? What if you were out of hospital all weekend and you were trying to tell him about it? He probably would push that in your face later in an argument, because he's Quentin and he's basically just the male version of you. Anyway. And not only that, to push the whole James thing back into his face when he was like, you've changed since you met James, or like, our relationship's changed since you met James, and then to be like, oh yeah, like after the whole argument, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go meet up with James, so bye, and then to say I love you. Wow, I can't even with her. She's just, So I'm literally editing the video right now, but I just realized I subconsciously said Julia's boyfriend's name. It's James. James is his name. Oh my god. He's such a nothing character. I'm so sorry I forgot about that. Oh my god. There you go. His name's James. I said it, so I obviously knew it. I'm just dumb. The one interesting thing that I can note that doesn't piss me off in this conversation is when Quentin says that he learned magic tricks to keep up with her. Does that? So, again, I haven't watched this in like almost 3 years. I can't remember. Like, is it ever stated, like how good she was at magic tricks? Like, I'm so curious if that just is a nothing statement, because I can't remember. Like, I know in the future it is something that does kind of come up later, but like, I'm more saying, like, do they ever actually explore that? I really hope they explore that, because like, they explore that for what magic tricks mean for Quentin later, and explain that, like, when he was doing magic tricks, he was literally doing some magic sometimes, like, specifically with, like, the coin tricks and stuff. Like, I can't remember when and who says it, but, like, there's a specific scene when they, like, talk about how, like, he was literally doing magic and stuff. So was Julia actually doing magic, and, like, was she better because she's supposed to be a better magician? I'm very curious. I wish we could see their younger years sometimes, and I wish we could see them doing magic without the lens of them doing magic. Does that make sense? Because it's referenced in the series that people do magic all the time without attempting to, especially the stronger you are with magic, the more magic you have, the more likely you are just to randomly do magic accidentally, just by waving your hand or laughing. They bring up an instance later in this episode where George Bush laughs in a video and he's doing magical air ripples. That's a scene that's Quentin and Julia heavy scene, and I'm gonna be bringing that up later again, but it's interesting. I wish we got to see more casual, quote-unquote, magic from other people that were literally not magicians. Like, how interesting would it be to see Julia's boyfriend do casual magic accidentally, and Julia gets so jealous and be like, how did you do that? How did you do that? Like, that could have been such a fun scene, because that's so Julia after. anyway, we will get into it in this episode, and I will have to come back to that thought. But anyway. Okay, so here comes my tiny bit of knowledge from the books. Okay, this is only from what I know of on the internet. I could be completely wrong about this, but from what I understand, Julia existed in the first book, but she was not a very, prominent character until the second book. So, this is why I think this is a very interesting scene, the elevator scene. Because Julia clicks on the third button, which in my eyes is representing the third book, and she goes from the first book to the second book. So in her point of view, with us, we, the audience, are now in Julia's point of view, going through the second book with her, kind of, while the first book is going on, with Quentin going through the meadow. And I like how they're paralleling each other, walking through, her in that, white, pristine hallway, and, with the whole, the exam room's this way. And, she doesn't have anyone, telling her where to go. She's smart enough to figure it out on her own because she's fucking Julia. Obviously, she knows what the fuck she's doing. But Quentin needs some more guidance. He needs a helping hand. He needs Elliot. I love Elliot. Ooh, we get to get into Elliot. Oh my gosh!
Quentin Coldwater?
Uh-huh.
I'm Elliot. You're late. Follow me.
Okay. Hey, where am I?
Upstate New York.
Upstate, but I wish just... Hey, okay, what is this place?
Brakebills University. You've been offered a preliminary exam for entry into the graduate program.
Am I hallucinating?
If you were, how would asking me help? Come on, or you'll miss it.
Ladies, be seated. Welcome. You may address me as Dean. I know you have questions. They will be answered in time. Now, your only job is to pass the examination before you. Begin.
So, Elliot's first lines. Quentin Coldwater. I'm Elliot. You're late. I just adore it. He's so gay, he's so great, and he easily becomes my favorite character. And he can do absolutely no wrong, and there isn't a whole lot to say about him here because he literally just takes Quentin to the exam room in this first bit and basically does nothing else, other than says another great line when Quentin's like, am I hallucinating? Is like, if you were, Howard asking me help. Just every line he says so far oozes Elliot. Just already, like, I love Elliot so much. He's just glorious. Elliot and Margot are my two, like, favorite characters of the whole entire series, and they never stop being great. Every single line from them is perfect, delivered perfectly. Elliot is played by Hal Appleman, and he just does a fantastic performance as Elliot. Elliot Waugh. Okay, I'm gonna mention the colors again, because I like how everything so far has different colors. Like, Fillory has this, like, really shiny filter almost over it, and then Breakbills has this, like, very bright, like, almost like a Mexicano kind of, like, filter over it, but it's, like, more colorful, more bluer, almost, but it's bright, it's just bright, it's very bright. And then the Real World is, like, this gray, dingy color. I really like how everything's colorized. Everything has its own little color sections, and they keep up with that aesthetic, where, like, everything's colored differently, or if it's not exactly colored exactly differently, how the camera work is different in that area, depending on where they are, like, in the multiverse, or in the Grand Magicians dimensions, I guess. And I really love that visual aesthetic. The colors are just so important, even this very beginning part. It's so important. You can tell where you are in dreams, where you can tell where you are in the worlds, just through the colors and through the filters and the camera work. And that's a really beautiful way of signifying where you are without changing too much of the actual sets. Because I imagine Fillory and, like, the forests of Breakbills and stuff aren't that much different. Like, the sets probably aren't that different, or even, like, a lot of Fillory sets probably aren't that different. It's just how they shoot them and, like, the colors they use are different to make it feel like different places, and I like that. So, this is Breakbills. They don't spend a whole lot of time here, like, for the whole series. Like, they even kind of mention in this episode they're not going to spend a whole lot of time here. So, I don't have a whole lot to say. It's really pretty. But yeah, it's Breakbills! Now, on to the important stuff, the exam. I love Fog. I love how Fog is just the whole you're late. Or not even like you're late, just late. Sit down. Or be seated. Great characterization. Everyone has great characterization in the first episode especially so far. Julia, and when she enters she was already at the exam, so she doesn't get to see who was late, which, in my eyes, I feel like Julia definitely would have looked, because she's that type of person that would have been like, oh, who's late? And she definitely would have seen Quentin there, but she does get to see Quentin in the exam room, so I'm not complaining necessarily that she doesn't see him right there. I'm just saying, from what I know from what you see of Julia later, and, like, from what you see of Julia in just this episode alone, there is no way she wouldn't be at least a tiny bit, like, the tiniest bit, like, curious. And that's also, I guess, why I get so mad at her with the whole, like, Fillory thing, and, like, not thinking it through at all, because it's just, like, you're so curious as a person later, and, like, that is the reason why you get so hurt later, is because of your curiosity. So it's just so weird not to see her be that curious, adventurous person at all and just try to not, and just try to run away from it. That is just not who Julia is at all. So it's just kind of weird. I think that is why I had such a negative reaction to that scene earlier. Anyway, we're past that. We're at the rigged exams. Yay! Everyone here that's supposed to pass is already supposed to pass. There's no way this exam actually means anything, especially with what you find out later in the series. This exam means goddamn jack and shit. But anyway, love it, love it, love it.
Please report to this next room for your final exam. Thank you. Next. Please report to this next room for your final examination. Thank you.
Jules.
Oh my God, Q? How did you get here?
Well, I can't really explain that.
No, me neither. It was so weird. I went into an elevator and then I got out of the elevator.
Oh, yeah, thank God, thank God.
Thank God what?
No, thank God that you're confused too. I just started these new meds today, and I thought maybe...
Stop talking, please. Stay focused.
You've just been given an examination of your magical aptitude.
How'd you?
We had reason to believe you possess certain nascent abilities.
Okay. I mean, I used to think that...
And perhaps you did at one time. Regrettably, you failed the written exam. I'm here to prepare you to go home.
What?
It's all right. We'll provide an alibi for you missing time.
That test was crazy. Any sane person, I mean, all the questions kept changing.
Be that as it may.
No! Don't you want students who make actual inquiry instead of just accepting like sheep? I'm sorry. Can I start over? Please. I can't just go to Yale if I know this place exists.
Which is why I'm going to make sure that you don't remember a thing. This won't hurt a bit.
Quentin.
So when Julia and Quentin notice each other in the exam room, I think that's a really cute scene. Again, trying to come at it from someone that's not thinking about the past, not thinking about what I've seen from magicians. I think that scene is so cute, how they immediately rush towards each other. You don't see anyone else in the room. I note that. You don't see anyone else in the room doing anything like that with each other, even if they knew each other. It's a very cute scene. There's another thing that I kind of wanted to mention here that, I just didn't have a place for it. Does anyone else here know about magic beforehand? Because it's referenced that both Katie and Penny, even though they were in this exam, know about magic and have known about magic, especially Katie. Katie, for sure, knew about magic for a long time. Alice also knew about magic. How secret is magic in this universe? I really don't feel like it's as secret as they try to lead it on. And I believe, I could be remembering a different series, but I believe in this series, later on, everyone ends up finding out about magic, and that becomes a big plot point later. I could be wrong, that could be a different series I'm thinking about. But, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as secret as they're trying to make it seem, because it's just, these just random nobodies seem to know about it. Katie knows high-level battle magic, you find out later, and, Penny knows about psychics and is a psychic, and, it's interesting. The world building is both amazing and both terrible at different points, and that's just the type of series I adore. Also, an important note here is when Quentin mentions that he's on new meds and thought he might have been hallucinating or something to Julia. We will talk about that very shortly after Julia's whole thing. Okay, Julia's second exam and her second rant. Okay. So, I think it's quite interesting that right after Julia just bullied Quentin, like literally maybe 30 minutes to an hour ago, just bullied Quentin over believing in magic and all that stuff. She immediately believes in magic. She immediately believes, oh, I am special. When the guy is like, when the, forget me spell guy is like, okay, yeah, this is a place of magic, and we were testing your magic aptitude, and she's like, oh yeah, I believe in magic. I knew I was special. And how immediately she gets so mad when he's like, no, you're not special. We're sending you home because you're so not special. Like, she is just such a narcissistic fucking in this first episode, and I have to say that about, like, the two people that I do not like, or I guess not, the two people that I disagree with personality-wise the most as characters. I love every character. I will keep saying that always. I love every character. It's just the two characters I disagree with personality-wise the most have that just narcissistic, just, I believe I should be the special one, I am special, or my thing is so much worse and so much sadder than everyone else's, and I deserve more than you guys. Both of them have that in this first episode without you even getting to know them as characters, and that bugs me. And they're both women, and I feel like in the first few episodes they didn't know how to portray women very well. Like, Margot is the only woman they portray very well throughout the whole series, I feel like, that I can remember. That I don't remember her having really any problematic... Well, she probably does have problematic things, and so does Katie. But I just can't remember too many problematic things comparatively to, like, Alice and Julia, because they just had so many things happen that I was just like, really, bitches? Really? Like, Quentin does too, don't get me wrong. He's a problematic motherfucker, but, like, really, bitches? Really? Okay, last part of the kind of rant is, I think the reason why it bugs me so much with Julia compared to Alice is because later in the series, like, Julia's kind of validated in the thought that she literally is the special one, because, like, she literally is the chosen one. Like, before, like, I can't get into it without spoilers, but she literally is the chosen one, like, on a very literal sense. So, just the fact that she's that narcissistic about it, and the fact that she's so quick to be like, no, you're wrong, you people were wrong, and the fact that she's right and proven right in that kind of makes me mad, but she gets punished for it. She gets punished for a lot of things later. A lot of characters get punished for being horrible people later, and that's why I excuse them being horrible characters, because it's literally, there's a point to it, there's a reason why they are. And the two characters that I specifically have a big issue with them being terrible characters, not terrible characters, terrible people, sorry. Like, they get punished for being bad people, they get punished for this, like, again, I can't really go into either of their punishments until, like, because of spoilers, but we will get into it, and Julia's is a lot worse, in my opinion, and I feel like she deserves hers a lot less, and I feel like it could have been done a lot better. I'll have to just get into it when we get into that season and that, like, storyline, because it's just, I feel like that can be done a lot better, and I do feel bad for her in that way. I cannot say anything else about that without spoilers, I guess. Yeah. Also, that forget me spell must be kinda shit if Julia can kinda just negate it with a ring. Like, a cut and a ring, really? Like, that's all you have to do? Like, even Torchwood, from what I remember, like, they had better forget me, like, science than that. Like, really? Your magic spell? Like, we don't even see her really, like, actually snap out of it. All we get to see is, like, when she wakes up and, like, she looks at her arm and she's like, oh, like, really? It was that fast? Like, you didn't even have the tiniest bit of, why do I have a cut on my arm? Or, it's fucking magic. They couldn't heal your goddamn arm? Okay, so I'm gonna be separating like, each episode into 2 parts. I kind of decided this while I was editing because, like, editing a, like, 2 to 3-ish hour video is a lot for a first-time editor. So for at least the first season, every episode is going to be separated into 2 parts. And maybe when I get better in the second season, I can just do 1 2 to 3 hour video for each episode. Anyway, that should be it for this part then. Thank you for clicking, and have an amazing night. I will see you on the next part of the first episode of Magicians. Like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you next time. Have an amazing night. I said that twice.